Hey, what's up guys? Steven, the Salon Guy here, and today I'm going to show you how to change up your haircut for summer. Obviously, it's summertime, it's really hot out there, and I'm going to show you how to get a really cool edgy haircut, quite a bit shorter than this, but also how to keep it really edgy and cool. So I'm ready to go, let's get started. All right, so as you can see, the mannequin hair is relatively short to begin with on the sides into here, and there's a lot of length on top to work with. But just say, for example, you want something that's not so long on top. You want something where you can just literally mess your hair up with your hands and something really easy to maintain, but also keeping like a still kind of a cool, rugged look. So what I'm gonna do is we're actually gonna work off the length in through the sides here. A lot of times you guys already have the sides buzzed, so why not work off the side length in through here, all right? And I'm sure you all can relate. You're going to the stylist or the barber, you're getting a number 1 or a 2 on the sides and it's grown out into this. But I say work off of the shape that you have and create something kind of unique and new off of this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm literally just using scissor over comb technique, and I'm blending in from where this was the longest point is from when you had it last cut. Meaning I'm taking the piece that was grown out from your previous fade or whatever haircut you had, and that's what I'm going to blend in. The sides and the bottom here, I'm literally gonna pretty much leave the length what it is, and I'm just gonna lightly touch that up, but I'm working this longest point up in through the top, because that's what I wanna work off. I want a little bit more of a kind of lived in, more shorter, rugged type messy look. And I wanna show you guys that you can get that look by cutting it this way, which is really, I think, hopefully a trend. Actors like, I've seen Tom Hardy have hair like this, and I think he definitely pulls it off. So you can actually dress up this kind of look really well and still, have it look really nice. So what I'm doing is I'm simply following the head shape like this, and I'm literally cutting this part in through here to where it's about, I'd say, 1 inch to 1.5 inches in length. And right here is in the corner of the head, and this is pretty much where the head rounds out around here, and this is where it's really crucial, because as the haircut grows out, this part sometimes gets bulky, sometimes it gets heavy, but if you take that a little bit shorter, then it's going to help prevent it from getting too long and too kind of thick and bulky as it grows out. And also you can thin it out too, which really is helpful. So really it comes down to how easy you want your hair to be in the summertime. There's a lot of people creating video content on summer haircuts or this or that, and a lot of it's just the same kind of long hair or undercut, which is easy, but that's why I like working on these mannequins. And this is from Hair Art Products. This is Steve. This is a pretty popular mannequin. He's like a celebrity mannequin over here. I think it's definitely one of my favorites. And as you can see, it's got the kind of this beard, the scruff going on. But again, it comes down to how short you're willing to go and how much you want to change up your look. Again, it's summertime. I think it's okay to do your hair somewhat like seasonally. Have it a little bit maybe longer in the winter, shorter in the summer, and you can always kind of grow it out. I mean, it's hair, it grows in, except for me, my hair doesn't grow in on top. But change it up. And this is really a change. A change isn't parting your hair to the left or to the right. I mean, having a makeover or a new haircut is what's essential. So what I'm doing is I'm really, again, following the head shape and cutting this all the way around to where it's going to be pretty even throughout the whole thing. But I want to show you guys that it can still look good without having it, have a number 1 fade or a skin fade or an undercut. I'm really creating an edgy look. And you can do that, again, based off of what you previously had. Take your hair that's kind of grown out a little bit in the sides and create a new shape based off of that. That's what I really think is could be a good trend for this summer. It's kind of short, spiky, messy. I've even seen Tom Cruise have this, like in, think like the Mission Impossible haircuts, where he's had it nice and tapered and short and kind of messy on top, but really easy to style. So I don't know if you're doing this yourself at home, or a lot of times you guys want to know what to say to the barber or the hairstylist. But I would basically say cut it to where it's about 1 inch all the way throughout the back, the sides, maybe a little bit more taper down in through here, especially if it's growing out, but you can say don't touch the sides in through here, don't touch the back, don't like refade this or anything. Simply work off of where it was last cut and blend that in through the top. And now what we're doing is we're coming into the top back part of the head, and I'm simply using a scissor over comb method, which means I'm working the comb up the head shape, and I'm using my thumb and following it with the comb this way. The comb and the shears are pretty much one. You know, I'm not really. I'm keeping these two together because they're working simultaneously. So now, as you can see, we're getting to the top back, and a lot of it, I am doing it, kind of scissor over comb by hand. I'm not using any clippers because you don't really need to. You can do this all by hand, which I like because this is that kind of perfect place where it's a little bit longer than a clipper, but it's still kind of short. So I say, why not do it by hand? You could be a little more creative with it, and you can also see how you're cutting it a little bit easier by hand, and you have more control. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect the top into the back, and I'm doing that by taking the last piece that I cut in through here and connecting it going forward this way. And what this is doing, it's creating a nice blend between, in this part right here. Now mind you, yes, we are cutting it short, and it is important, but it is important to have a nice connection or a nice blend right in through here. Now I'm leaving it long enough to where you could still have a little bit of style to it, but short enough to where it's pretty low maintenance, and you don't have to worry about too much when you're styling it. I mean, you can literally wake up out of bed and still have this look good. And now what I'm doing is I'm going back and kind of reconnecting, making sure it's all blended. There's nothing wrong with going back in. You want to constantly recheck, constantly make sure it all connects and works in as one, right? And as you can see, I'm really getting a little more aggressive and going in, just doing it by hand and making sure it all kind of works together. So now we're going to work towards the front, and we have our guide back in through here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this to where it's about, I'd say, an inch right in through here, all right? And we're going to work our way towards the front, and we're going to keep this pretty consistent throughout the whole top of the head. So yeah, we're cutting this to probably about like an inch long, an inch length. Inch and a half the most, all right? Inch might be a little too short, but I wouldn't go longer than an inch. And even an inch is still enough to style it. Don't think it's way too short, but you have to really feel confident that you can really pull this off. That's why it's cool to see this mannequin with a beard or like a scruff, because it still represents kind of a more rugged, edgy kind of look, and that's what gives it a nice style. And you can even grow the beard a little bit longer. It really depends on you, but creating a unique look for yourself and what you feel comfortable in is what's essential. But this is a really cool way to change up your style for the summer, and also making sure you still have a little bit of hair to work with and to style. So now I am gonna go back and cut this a little shorter in the front, but now I want to go back and kind of re-blend this in by hand right in through here, because as we cut this shorter, we still have this area to work in. And that's where I'm going to go in this way horizontally and really blend everything in. Now look, here's the corners right in through here, and this is that essential part where you need to blend it all in, is right in through here. Remember, you cut this, we cut this, and we have this area. This area is just as important as everything else, because that's going to keep your hair looking a little more kind of blended in, a little more rounded, a little more balanced, all right, as your haircut grows out. Because if this part is too long as it grows out, it's going to look really, really bushy. It's really not going to look right. You want your hair to look really, really, really good, and you want it to grow out really well too. A good haircut will grow out really well. That's why I spend so much time on my haircuts, is because I want them to grow out really well. And as you can see, I'm really, really being particular about this whole thing, because I do want it, not like this is going to grow out well, but once this hair is cut, it's gone. But I'm just saying in general, if you're a professional or you're getting your hair cut by somebody, you want to make sure they're putting the time in, You want to make sure they're putting the time in. And I hope you guys are enjoying this because I've been getting a lot more requests to do, you know, more hands-on, step-by-step stuff, and hearing me explain more in detail. So I hope you guys are really appreciating this. I feel like I'm blabbing on and on, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm blabbing on and on, but you guys want to hear me talk, so. But I'm interested in if you can, leave a comment on whether, you know, you change your hair to this style, or let me know what you think. Let me know if this is helpful to you. You know, if you were to take this to your stylist or your barber, you can really simplify it by just saying, yeah, cut the whole thing like an inch, and then maybe blend it to 1.5 inches on the top the most. But no more than 1.5 inches, to be honest with you. Because you don't want it to be, you want this to really be a very simple kind of lived-in style. And that's what I love about it. So now we're in the front area right here. And look, this is really long right through here. I think it's a little bit too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut the length. Now when you pull the hair forward like this, you have to realize that if you cut it too short, then this piece is going to live where you cut it. So if you cut it down to here, this is going to drop right here, and this is going to be a lot longer. So be very, very careful that you don't cut this too short. It's always easier to go back in this way after and take it down shorter, because if you cut that front too short, it's kind of a little bit, you know, it's a little bit too late. You can't put the hair back, you're finished. So that's why I do that. I leave a little bit of length, and then I'll go in this way and I'll blend it in and connect it going vertically. All right, it's always easier to do it that way. And again, we're creating a very kind of soft, easy, manageable, short, cropped hairstyle, but still having it enough length to make it look somewhat edgy. And I'm glad, you know, I'm happy to be doing this because it's not the same old, you know, people are saying they're changing their hairstyle for the summer and it's nothing new except cutting a little shorter on the sides. I mean, this is a true kind of transformation. You want to go from going longer to shorter. That's what I want to be able to see, is somebody really changing their hairstyle up for the summer, okay? So all I'm doing now is I'm going back, cross-checking, making sure everything is balanced, making sure it's all even, and I'm going over section by section throughout the top. Now this part I'm pushing forward down here because the hair grows out this way. So I'm going to go back in, push this hair down to make sure I'm all even in through there, and then I'll bring it straight up this way, following the head shape. And this is really, really crucial. If you're cutting your hair yourself, which I don't really recommend, it's almost impossible to do all this. That's why I say go to a hairstylist or a barber. I mean, it all really depends. You know, barbers are good at their things, and stylists are good at other things. So, you know, you're not going to get. I get so many people even comment saying, "Oh, my barber screwed my hair up and can't do this." I said, "Well, maybe that style is more for a stylist to do, and vice versa." I hear people complain, "Oh, my hairstylist sucks." I'm like, "Well, that's because you need to go to a barber for the kind of look you're going for." So, depending on the look, depends on the type of professional you need. Right? You're not going to go to a sushi restaurant for a guy and looking for, you know, him to cook good Italian food. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to go to the right person to match up what kind of look you're going for, to be honest with you. All right, so I'm just going back over this now by hand, making sure that it's exactly where I want it. Maybe I need to cut even a little bit shorter. It's all really personal preference and personal, you know, taste as far as how you want it. And what I'm going to do is simply just finish this up here and make sure that it's exactly how I want it, and then we'll come back for the finished style. All right, so I'm going to break this down a little more step by step for you guys, just because I know a lot of you want to see more step by step stuff. But what this style really is this style is designed to, you know, live off an existing haircut, something that's growing out, that, you know, it's not cutting it super short in the sides, not doing a fade, undercut. I mean, you know, you're basically cutting the hair from where you last left off from the grown out period. So if you got like a number 1, normally, and the hair is grown out to like a, you know, a 2 length or a 3, you're actually cutting it to that longest length and having it more of like a lived-in type look. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm just picking up from where the haircut was the longest point, which would be where it was grown out, and I'm using that to blend into. So whether it's a 1/2 inch or an inch, whatever the longest point is from it being grown out, that's going to be your guide, and that's what you want the hair length to be throughout the sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to cut this whole thing by hand, and I'm going to blend it all in and match it up to where it's about, I'd say, you know, an inch throughout the sides, throughout the back. And what we're going to then do is kind of do a lot of scissor over combing and blending by hand. So if you're going to go to your stylist or your barber, just tell them, like, look, cut this from the longest point from where it's last grown out, cut it to where it's about, I'd say, an inch to an inch and a half the most throughout the corner or the top, the sides, and basically it's almost all even, but it's more of like a grown out haircut, you know, not grown out where it's like super long, but it's a grown out haircut from what you kind of maybe previously last had. So it's a little more of a lived in, easy to wear summer haircut, but it still looks edgy, still long enough for you to put some product in it, and it's really, really essential. I think a great look for the summer. And now, now that we're done with the sides and the corners, we have to work into the top. So we're going to connect the top and the back by simply holding a section out and cutting it, you know, vertically, and that's going to be our guide to connect everything throughout the top. So the top is going to be, I'd say, about an inch. Again, working into no longer than an inch and a half. You don't really want this to be too long because it kind of takes away from the whole style, the whole look, having it a whole messy kind of look. But what you want to do is keep it pretty consistent and pretty even throughout the whole head. So now I'm going to go in and do some texturizing with some thinning shears. As you can see, kind of, you know, it's a simple, easy blow dry from when the hair is, you just got out of the shower or anything you do. You can wake up, you know, have bedhead and your hair's still going to look kind of good. But you want to finish it off with some sort of dry matte product. I'm using talc. And talc, you just kind of dab it in and it gives you that really flexible look. You can shape it and mold it into pretty much any style you want. And as you can see here, we've got the finished look. The beard is nice and tapered, so it's got that rugged kind of edgy look, and also the top is a good length to where it all kind of works in. You can still wear it formal, you can wear it kind of messy, and I think this really is a great look for summer. All right guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and also subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time for more videos with the Salon Guy.